Hey everybody, Roger Levin here with your specialty practice pearl of the week. I want to give you a question. When should you recognize that you are entering a turnaround? Now, what is a turnaround? A turnaround is when your practice is either very flat or declining. Don't wait for decline to think you need to turn it around. Flat is a great indication that something needs to be done. And the question is, when should you do it? And the answer is, and I'm not being sarcastic, yesterday. And the reason I say yesterday is three stories. Last week, I received a phone call from a specialist who wanted consulting services. And 3 years ago, his practice went flat. And in that 3 years, it had declined by 23%. And he said, I knew I should have done something 3 years ago. I just didn't have the momentum. I had some other things going on in my life, and he let his practice go. Now, I don't criticize anybody. I try very hard to not judge people or criticize. My life is about helping people and making a positive difference. So I never sit back and say, gosh, how could he possibly have waited 3 years and let this happen? Life happens. But reality is also being aware. Are you aware of your practice's current condition in referrals and production? Are they flat or declining? If either referrals or production are not growing every year, then you have a problem. And you might say, well, Roger, wait a minute, I got a nice practice. I don't care about growing every year. I'm pretty happy. And the answer is great. You've got a great situation, but overhead's going up every year, so you need to grow by at least the amount of the overhead increase to stay even in profitability. I mean, these are basic business principles, even if you're not aggressive or have a strong desire to grow a lot. So that's one story. Number two is a specialist who called me that got hit all at once. Three different things happened to him and his practice, one of which was getting divorced. Now, what happened? The practice had serious problems, staff turnover, new competition, and he was getting divorced. And I've seen this forever because divorce will take over your life for many people. I get that. It's hard for so many people. It's what we call an NLE at Levin Group, a negative life event. The problem was that his practice had a serious steep decline. Now, normally in a divorce, your divorce attorney will tell you, don't grow your practice, wait till you have a settlement, because if you grow the practice, you may have to give out more or pay out more. Okay, I've seen that many times too. But the difference is this was a divorce and a declining practice, which meant when all was said and done, he was going to have a bad financial situation from the practice as well. So he needed to turn it around. But it was a year and a half later because he said he was dealing with a divorce. He didn't think he could handle any more. By the way, when you can't handle any more, there are experts in the world that can handle it for you. And this is not a pitch for consulting. I never do that. I do not solicit. It could be lawyers, accountants. When you can't handle any more, get people around you that can handle it for you. And if you get the right experts, they will take care of it for you. The third story is about a specialist who brought in the associate from hell. He didn't know that when he brought her in. He was very excited. Unfortunately, he made her a partner right away before spending a year with her as an associate to find out. As I always say, spend some time dating before you get married. And she caused serious damage. He lost his entire staff. The entire staff over the course of a year left the practice, partly because when one left, she brought a number of the staff to a new practice that was also seeking new people. Having said that, the new staff came, they hired new people. She was just terrible to the staff over and over again. The practice went into a tailspin. Now, the good news for him was, at least after a year, he broke the partnership. That was a legal issue that we were not involved in, but he ended up back with the practice. There was a buyout clause in his contract. His lawyers did a good job, and he then sought help to turn this practice back around. This was a management issue, not a marketing issue, because referrals were fine, but the entire team had been gone and the new team was suboptimal at that point. Some of them needed to also be replaced. All right, I'm sharing this long turnaround series of stories with you, but here's the key. Be self-aware. Is your production growing? Are your referrals growing? If not, then the answer to when should you start your turnaround is yesterday. One final comment. Turnarounds are not about simple tweaks or simple changes. They are usually due to multiple issues, usually very complex. You need a comprehensive solution for referrals or production that are not increasing every year if there are specific reasons, and there are always specific reasons, that you are flat or declining. The key message: be self-aware, know where you are, and act. As always, I wish you increased practice production and referrals every year, and I'll see you next week.